and it's the Renny Doyle podcast. Good morning, Chris. How's it going?
I'm good. It's been a busy, busy week and a half.
Week and a half?
Well, longer than that.
Yeah, it's been nuts. So, hey, a couple of lessons learned. I want to share right now some lessons I learned. First off, I'm going to warn you right now, dog warning. My dogs are on hyper. I don't know what got into them, but this morning, we had to put some weed killer down. I haven't been able to access the shop for about 2 weeks, and so this morning is the first day they've got access to it. And it was like Christmas morning, so you're gonna probably hear paws and fighting and everything else. They're coming in here and just having a ball in the shop. Next thing is that milk warning. Is that when you go away and you're the only person that drinks, I put a dash of cream into my swirl cup of coffee. So this morning I made coffee. I haven't made coffee here in a while, and I just took a big gulp of it. Well, the cream was bad. So lesson learned is check the creamer before you drink your coffee, because that was thick and nasty. I mean, it was like reverse throw up.
You not had your coffee this morning yet then?
I really don't need it. I've been hyped this week.
Yeah.
I think it was last week. It was so cool. Monterey. And I mean, we had Air Force One, and I know we've got some questions that came through already on that, some early ones. But I've just been hyper.
You're usually on the hyper end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Honestly, I say this with, we met a young lady that I wish you were there. I shared my story about being special education when I was young. And that's no joke. Some people come up to me and say, that's not funny for you to make. No, that's not a joke. I was special education, and I can rag on me.
Yep.
I earned the right. I got picked on enough to where, I can do it now. But she come up to me and she says, she was 18 years old. She says, man, you really motivated me. And she went it through and told me her story. She didn't know her dad growing up either. And I sat there when she was done, and I said, okay, I'm not the one inspiring. You just inspired me. Here's this 18-year-old that's special education, but she was so wise. And her mom's one of our storefronts. And it just really touched me. Honestly, I haven't been able to get it off my mind. I mean, it's been there. How we can impact each other by just telling our story and being wholesome with it and being true and wanting to help other people by sharing. If you've had some kind of struggle, then don't be shy. I mean, you just came out, you had a struggle with it. What are they calling those people now they got all kinds of names for everything now. I can't keep up with this shit.
What I dealt with yesterday?
Yeah. Was it a Nancy, or it's a Karen, or
a Karen? Yeah. She was definitely a little different, I won't go into the details, but she was, she questioned me. I was honest, and then she wasn't happy with my answer.
No, it's a great point, is that everybody, God, we're going completely off topic, but this is cool. First off, this is thanks for PNS Products for bringing us the podcast. We just spent a week up in Monterey with the entire, I'll call them the office team, from PNS and a lot of the mafia. And what was that, an incredible week or what?
Oh, it's always cool. Even this year when things were dialed back, maybe just, a tiny bit, maybe 5-10%. It was still incredible.
You think your party was dialed back at all? I think it was the most crowded I've seen.
Actually, I don't think his party was. I thought it was pretty full, but other things I saw around town were.
Yeah. But you know what? The people that were there, I mean, we didn't have a negative interaction, man. I mean, we just had.
No.
It was just, car people, they want it bad. They want to get back to normal bad. And when we come it was magical.
And the people that were there really wanted to be there, right? I mean, if you didn't really, if you were on the fence, you probably didn't go. But if you really wanted to be there, you were definitely there.
It was incredible. I mean, it was just, if you guys haven't been there, to go to Monterey, the car week, any of the events and stuff, God, pay, do it. We had a little detailing gathering one night, and it's hard. We've been doing that. Bob Phillips with PNS kind of arranged that years ago. And here's the cool part: we didn't have many detailers come this year because they're all busy. they're anybody that's at Monterey, they're so slammed. Mark Elliott, we saw, he was, they're just slammed. I mean, they're just slammed. And the nice thing is, years ago, you go to that as a detailer and you weren't making very much money. And now these guys, they're slaying it, man. I mean, they're slaying it. So it's really cool to see.
Yep. Well, I've been going out to Monterey for Car Week since 06. And, it's something I don't like to miss, even though, this year I was really focused on what we were doing there and I didn't stick around too long afterwards for other stuff. But, it's great to still be part of it on any level. And if nobody's been out there, I highly recommend you do it. It has gotten to the point where you have to plan way in advance, especially if you need a place to stay. But it's not too hard. You can even stay 30 minutes outside of town and make it work.
That's what we do. We don't stay right down. It's just if you go into town, everything's so crowded. So we just decided to stay a ways out because the time you spend driving, you save staying in lines for getting meals and stuff like that. So
oh yeah,
pretty incredible.
And many of the events are high end and they're expensive. I mean, going to the McCall's event, if you got to buy a ticket, it's expensive. If you got to go to the Quail and buy a ticket, which is almost impossible, that's expensive. But there's plenty to do on a budget too. You can go have an awesome Car Week experience without spending too much money.
Shoot, man, just all the tours they have where the cars come by you. I mean, it's worth going to see them. So it's pretty incredible. So, well, cool. Well, today's, kind of a ask me anything day, kind of an open question kind of day. But before I start, this day is kind of a bittersweet day for me. Is that 20 years ago, 20 years later, I lost my grandma. I didn't think it was going to hit me like this, just talking about her. So it's bittersweet because I'm glad she's not seeing the shit that's going down in the world right now. She survived a lot. She survived the flu of 100 years ago, 1980. Yeah. And I remember talking to her about that, the Great Depression, World War II, all these things. I mean, Korean War. I mean, everything that she lived through. And it was funny because they were so tough back then. The things that they had to endure, and she was an amazing lady. One of her. I mean, we come from a very diverse little town. And it's always been kind of a rough town, but we were all rough together. We were kind of poor together, poor to working middle class. Some of us were poor, some of us were just, steel workers. It was a big railroad town. So there was families that did really well, that weren't poor, but they definitely, weren't rich. I was on the lower end of that spectrum. I don't want to change a thing going back, but there's so many things I'm realizing now that my grandma endured. And she taught me, and it's been the biggest blessing of my life, but it's also a curse. And it's because I've got those old fashioned values. A lot of the modern day people in the world just don't get it. They just don't get it. And I'm never going to shake those values. Now, this is a lady that my Aunt Dot, she's black. She's my aunt. And I, honestly, up until I was like 10, I thought she was truly my aunt. I had no idea. And so I had another aunt that was Japanese, and it turns out the whole area when they rounded up the Japanese family is ours and several other families took that family in and hid them. And so, I'm proud of my grandma because she grew up in a time where, racism was alive and well. And yet the diversity that she faced and my family faced, and they were back then that we weren't a poor family. We were a working class family all the way through. We didn't become poor until I came around, which always confuses me. It's like, damn, why did it have to happen when I was born? But here's the thing is she taught me so much she was such a Renaissance woman, and to face those things and to hear my Aunt Dot, I've got some of the best memories of them going at each other as best friends. I've got friends like that. We just rag on each other. Most people would think that we hate each other, and we actually, we love each other. And that's how, man. And so it was such a great influence to see her and her friends so diversified in a time that just didn't happen, and all this political correctness now and shit like that. I'm glad she's not seeing this shit. I'm glad she died right before 9/11. But I wanted to mention Anna because
I always wonder what my grandparents would have thought too, you know. But you mentioned, 20 years. I mean, not to diminish the fact that she's gone, but you were pretty lucky to have her around for that long, you
Dude, I
know.
was in my I was in my mid-30s when I lost her.
Yeah. I lost all four of my grandparents by the time I was 16.
Yeah.
And I had, back then I wasn't old enough to really pay attention or know what to ask them or talk to them about. And if I could have had them until I was in my early 20s, that would have been pretty cool.
No, it was to have her as long as I did and have her the influence. And I remember I had, I was detailing. I got the call at 4:08 in the morning, and then 18 minutes later, I got the call that she had passed, and it was kind of a sad moment because she had a do not resuscitate order, but they didn't. One of the staff didn't know it, and they were bringing her back, and if you know, I won't go into details, but I had a good friend that was there with her. Thank God. Naturally, we couldn't, But the next morning, I had to finish up a jet. I was working on we'd done a major makeover on a jet, and I remember the customer calling me, and he had heard what had happened, and he's like, "What are you doing? Why are you working on this thing?" I said, "I got to finish it." And he's like, "Well, I mean, come on today," and I was like, "I mean, what am I going to do?"
Yeah.
I can sit there and get into my mind, but there's a picture taken on that day, and I didn't know it wasn't. So every year they take a picture of the tarmac up at that airport up at Sun Valley, and they took the picture that day, and you could see me if you blew it up. One of my friends did, and you could see me underneath the airplane that day with my hands down like this, and I was just taking a realization break or something like that, and it hit me. But hey, here's the deal. Like you said, see, I told you, I knew it. See it? They're after it. But here's the deal, and it's the little one going after the big one. But here's the deal: is that you mentioned it. I am so blessed to have her so long, and I am so blessed to have had her. We shared a bedroom until I was 19, and when I was like 12, that really sucked. And then by the time I was 15, I realized it was such a gift to get her wisdom laid down to me, when we talked at night, it was just amazing. So, Nana, I love you. All right. So here we go. So let's go ahead and take it. Hey, hold on. What's on your shirt?
Oh, Mercedes Gullwing.
Damn, those are cool cars.
Oh yeah, they are.
But
they're $1 million plus cars these days.
Unreal. It's unreal. Yeah. Yep. So ask me what's on mine. I don't think we've ever talked about this on the.
Yeah. What's on your shirt? And then we got to talk about what's on your hat too.
Right. So this is all about, this is the show Emergency. So Squad 51, Engine 51. So Richard Ambrose down here, one of the Mafia members in SoCal, he's got a tie-in with firefighting, and we went down to the LA County Museum, and we took and did a preservation project on the original Squad 51, which you were part of, and these were our team shirts, and they're pretty cool. And so that was a really fun project. So it did a really good job of designing the shirt, so I wore it today.
Very cool. And the hat's new.
The hat's new. So this is our new double black hat. This thing is so comfortable. It is so comfortable. So we had a limited number made. I think PNS has probably got some left, but they're going to sell out pretty quick. So if you want one, go over to PNS and or your local distributor, and a lot of them have them also, so you can get them.
Yep.
We got to do a giveaway and give away one of these hats where I'll sign it, and
well, we got to make sure we can get some to give away first.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get Bob. They've also got a PNS one that's cool too, but this one's my favorite. So can you hear my dogs? They're going nuts.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you guys, can you guys go somewhere else? Sorry, I love my dogs, so we're gonna have to put up with it. So, all right, so we've got some cool questions, and I'm sure there's more that's come in. But I saw some of the early ones that came in just this morning, and some really good ones. So, what do you got?
we have a few that just came in, and we have one that came in ahead of time, and then somebody else asked about the same thing, so we'll tie those together.
Cool.
But maybe the first one that came in through email before this morning is is about our special projects, like Air Force One, and we could roll it into McCall's too. It was Hector from Florida wants to know what do you got to do? What's it take to become a member of the Air Force One detailing team?
Cool. Great question. So, when you come through a 5-day training, we have a group in Detailers Network, and we bring you into that. We're just shy of 200 right now. It varies a little bit. Not everybody comes in and stays in the group that comes through training, but it's definitely an opportunity. We've got demands for continuing education and membership and participation and all that. But that everybody that is on Air Force One is part of our group that's come through a 5-day training. The reason we do that is that we've got a known level of ability. We've got a personality, and we make sure that there's not going to be any personality conflicts. And everybody understands one thing is they know how to work on a team. And, all these people are independent business owners. And it's amazing on how great of a job, there's all these, type A, alpha male and females that come on this project, and they come together like liquid. I mean, they just flow. And that's why we pull it out of there, is because we know everybody, can we match everybody up. Now, we're very fortunate that both Gordon McCall and Bob Phillips is that the McCall's event, the Monterey week that we spend, that is Gordon McCall's, event. So McCall's Motorworks Revival, and P&S is the official detailing product for the event. And we're very fortunate that Bob, being Detail Mafia, and Dave and Keith and Sydney and Kyle and you, were able to select out of the Detail Mafia for the same exact reasons.
Don't forget you.
Oh, me too.
Your name's on some of the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so, we pick out of there again for the same exact reason, because we know everybody's abilities, but more importantly, we know the people. It really comes down to that. Is that, I always say it. I mean, we're a trainer, and I'm not gonna belittle detailing skills. It's what we do for a living. But you'll realize that once you get into our group, for those that come in, is that really we're about developing your business skills and your personal skills. Is that we've got the 3 pillars of business that we go off of, and it's so important. And those pillars are you, relationships, and marketing. And so you can see what I feel is the most important thing in detailing business. Now, I didn't say detailing. If you're doing this as a hobbyist, you don't care about your personality. You're a hobbyist. But if you're doing this for a living, is you got to become an entrepreneur before you're anything. And that's what a lot of people, are. That's the weak link for most. And so, that's where we pull the pool out of. Hector, great question. And I'll tell you, we went with a really small group this year on Air Force One, 19. We had one of our members, his dad had a medical emergency and family first. So how do you replace a 20th member with somebody, when that happens? So we just decided to keep it at 19. And I can't tell you, again, the unity of our group. Relationships are so important, and we did so much quality work that project, you're never going to see 60-member project again. That unless we do something just weird,
And they're more than just relationships; they're friendships.
They are. There's a lot of them that travel around the country to see each other, and spend time together. And we've really become friends and family. And it's tough for me because we've got, a decent sized group, and to stay in touch with everybody. We've had such a nutty, I would call it 2 months. It's been pretty intense, especially for Chris. He's been real intense. And so it's really hard to keep those relationships right front and center. But, just yesterday, I talked to about 6 members that were either, most of our time, we've gone from a group of, we would kind of handle crises that were going on in people's lives and or businesses, to really helping people grow. The number one call I get now is, hey, how do I handle this project? How do I handle this growth? How do I want to get into a new, bigger shop, or I want to go from mobile to a shop. Those are all great problems. I love to handle those calls. But on the same token is, when you have this larger group, is, we have a good family member that used to be in the group. They sold their company to another one of our members that's in the hospital right now, pretty sick. And so with that, you've got all the struggles of that. and those weigh heavy on us, when people are having, personal, family issues and health issues and everything else, is that, it's 360, but also brings us closer together. So,
Right.
great.
Well, and that's the cool part of it. Those relationships and friendships that we build, we become mentors, but it's like, I don't know, cross mentoring. Everybody mentors everybody in the group, and it's really cool that they depend on each other like that.
It is. And I looking back, this is a question down on the we got submitted earlier, is that, looking back, what do I wish I would have known? I don't know if I wish I would have known. I knew it. I just wish we would have had, 25 years ago, the networking opportunities directly within our industry. I was networking outside of our industry, but you know what? Detailing, it's just like any industry. The heating and air conditioning industry is going to have unique challenges that we as detailers don't have. And I wish we would have, we 25 years ago, you can harness, back then I had a missile, by networking. Right now, this is a nuke, man. The power of networking with other true successful people. And I'm talking some of our group, are self-made millionaires. And to get the power and harness that power of those relationships was not available years ago. And it's available now. And I don't care if it's in our group or another group. The other benefit of choosing people from within our group is, leisure time, is that when we're sitting down at lunch, when we're sitting down at dinner, we have what we call patio talks, is that there's no theory in our group. There's nobody talking bullshit. Everything is vetted. And you're not going to pull the wool over anybody's eyes in our group for very long. We've had people do it, a few, not very many, but they're weeded out pretty quick.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I'm getting a number of questions about the next item here, which is, well, we'll just get into it. We got Weaver Details is asking, can you speak about Dreammaker at all? And then Josh is asking, so when is this special sauce we've all been hearing about going to be released? So I think they're talking about the same thing.
Hold on. Let me grab something. I've got it sitting here. Okay. So this is an early bottle of it. This is about one of about 4. You see, I used it because we were aging it to see how it settled and everything. So we go through a lot of different testing periods. So Dreammaker is a new product, and it's gonna be available here shortly. Like everything in the world right now, there's a shortage on raw materials, and so we're waiting for just all of our raw materials. We got to do a test batch. I think we did the first one last week. We're gonna define that a little more, and it's going to be available here shortly at your distributors. Some of the distributors, we did do some of our legacy distributors, we did do a shipment out to. So some of them have already got it. So what Dreammaker is we're going back old school. So this is something really cool, is that Gordon McCall, if you don't know who Gordon is like my hero. 20-something years ago, I got invited down. One of my clients had their plane in an event, and it was the McCall's Motorworks Revival. But back then it was a car, plane, and cigar, jewelry, and wine event, because you had all those things hosted, because cigars were very acceptable, and they're kind of coming back again a little bit. So I got hired down, is that one of my customers had a Gulfstream. Gulfstream wanted them to bring their aircraft down to it. I said, yeah, heck yeah. I jumped on board the aircraft. We flew from Sun Valley, Idaho, down to the Monterey Jet Center. I got off, and I'm looking around, and I'm going, holy shit, what's this about? So then I meet Gordon, which Gordon's a pretty amazing guy. He's how tall is Gordon? 6'6"? I think 6'5", somewhere right in there. Chris?
I'm gonna go with up there. He's tall.
He's tall. He's a very good looking guy. He carries himself. He's elegant. And guess what? He started out life as a detailer. And so I meet this guy for 5 nanoseconds. We bring it in. He's busy setting up his event. And I just, in the back of my mind, I've had this guy. I've watched him for years. And all of a sudden, Bob Phillips has known him. They've worked together for 30 years, and all of a sudden, through Bob, I meet Gordon. Really meet him, and now this new product is a joint venture with. We tagged in with the Rag Company. They had a lot of input on this with Gordon McCall, myself, and PNS Products. And what it is, it's old school. Is Dreammaker is a shine enhancement. It does have a little bit of protective value, but really what it's about is just you're going to take your car out for a drive, you're going to take it to a park and shine event, and you want to make it look good and get that gloss just popping before you go to the event or while you're at the event. So it's a spray and wipe product that just adds intense shine to the vehicle. That's what it's all about. And so, it's the market. Is it for pros? Yeah, absolutely. If you want just a delivery pop, it can be used on plain paint. It can be used with I don't like putting anything over wax. Wax changes things. But definitely a sealant or a coating. It can be used on. We've tested it on a wide variety of manufacturers, and it's just insane. I mean, it is the pop on it. Last week we used it at the event, and these cars just looked amazing. So that's Dreammaker and what it's about. And like I said, some of our distributors is go in and we'll try to see if PNS won't put a link up, and if they do, we'll share that over on our social media and so forth.
And I got to use it last week, and just going to add, it's very easy to use. It's short-term enhancement for that car show, but like I said, it's just super easy, wipes on easy, comes off easy, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's a really fun product. I wish I didn't bring a bottle back with me last week. We had the finished bottles. But we were in such a mad rush to get out of there. We finished we literally worked on the green at the Quell. We packed all our stuff up and we boogied to the airport, and I just didn't have time to grab a bottle. And so, but we'll have some shortly. And like I said, I've had, this is one of the test bottles, and I'll keep this one. The reason I brought this one out is I didn't heavily use it, so it's not damaged. So this will go into our little museum that we've got. And, we got products going back when I helped Shell Oil develop a product called Flight Jacket. I got one of the original kits from back on that over 20 years ago. Pretty cool. And inside the brochure, there's a little air care guide, and it's got me in there with hair.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet most people wouldn't be able to pick you out of the pamphlet.
No.
You look a little different.
Yeah, 25 years ago, right? So at least I do. Bob Phillips doesn't.
Here's a fun question for you. William wants to know, what's your favorite cigar and who's your favorite Cuban?
William Lara is my favorite Cuban, for sure. I got a lot of favorite Cubans though, but he's my very, very favorite. And he's my favorite Cuban to share a Cuban with, because man, the boy knows his cigars. I had the opportunity. My lovely daughter Ryan and I have shared the passion of cigars since she was 18. And she came back. She served in the Marine Corps. She came back from deployment. I can't remember where she was, but she came back, and for my 50th birthday, I believe it was my 50th. Yeah, it was. It was my 50th. She brought me an Opus X. And anybody that knows the Opus X, it's a legendary cigar. And it was an original Opus X, first generation Opus X. So Opus X is like that Gullwing car on your shirt.
Yeah.
Especially an original batch Opus X. I mean, these things, I felt bad because she probably spent $150, $200 on that cigar. And I want to tell you, I've never done drugs, but that cigar was so strong and so good. Both of us were stoned out of our gourds because she bought herself one too when we celebrated on my 50th. And I was higher than a kite, man. I mean, it was like, whoa. So that's my favorite. Now, believe it or not, everyday cigar. I don't smoke that many cigars anymore. Only if I'm somewhere special, like my special buddy William. I'm to the point now where I really like Javas, acids. I like a real kind of a dessert cigar now. I did have an amazing kind God, what was it? My buddy Travis came over a couple weeks ago, and we actually shared one together. We haven't smoked a cigar together in a year and a half. I have to look up what it was, but oh God, it was just so good. But now I've gone kind of the wimpy side of cigars. I got to have something that's pretty mellow.
All right. Well, all that went over my head. So,
Yeah.
So we did say ask anything. So here's an interesting question from Luke. Says, if the dollar collapses, would it be smart to accept Bitcoin or digital currency as payment? And what do you think would be the best way to approach those changes in running a detail business?
Ooh, great question. First off, I don't think the dollar is going to collapse because the dollar it's a standard worldwide. I think maybe one of these days we don't get our shit together, and it might be sooner than later. But I think we've got a bit before anything like that's going to happen. We've talked about that. I think that there's a lot of things. I won't even go into it because there's so many things we need to do as a country to make sure that doesn't happen. But right now, there's the distribution of the American dollar is so strong worldwide and globally is that I'm going to tell you what makes the world go around is, drug sales. And if you look at the amount of American currency that is distributed worldwide just from the drug cartels, they're going to make sure to grease the politicians' pockets for some time before that goes away. So it's going to be a bit. Now, as for digital currency, absolutely. It's becoming pretty favorable. And again, probably the higher end customers, they might be going there. I'd probably charge a premium for it. I think you should be charging a premium anyway for your services. But absolutely, I would keep that absolutely in mind. I think that, just like a lot of detailers, believe it or not, you go back 10 years ago, 12 years ago, most detailers, and I bet it's still the majority today. You got to remember who I rub elbows with are kind of the people that are coming in it with the right attitudes, or they've already been, they're arrived. And so I would bet that the majority of detailers, I bet 50% or more, still don't even accept credit cards. And so. Yeah. If you're thinking ahead, as we were 25 years ago, to accept, digital currency, I think it just puts you at another level. So I think that how do those changes? Just, I don't know if there's a porthole for accepting it. I haven't looked into this enough. Maybe we will. Is that, Luke? Is there a porthole that you can go that you do just like you would with PayPal or Square or something else, that you can accept digital currency? And have a porthole on your website that they go to, or you send an electronic invoice where you do trade currency at that level, digital currency at that level. So great question. I don't
know enough about it myself. It seems that a generation maybe about 10 years younger than me is who's really into it these days.
Yeah, and I think, and that's the generation that we're starting to service now, that. And I think this generation, a lot of people rag on it, but I think there's a lot of extreme, a lot of brain power, man. There's a lot of 20-pound brains in the younger generation coming up right now. I think that the ratio, it's always been, there's always going to be the dumbasses of every generation. And then there's going to be people stand up. We see it in our training program. I mean, the generation, everybody ragging on this generation. I'm telling you what, man. I don't. I think for the ones that we're dealing with, they got their shit together, and I think that I think they're going to beat my generation for sure. In the fact that one of the biggest things we teach is don't overwork. Is work smart and make your money work for you. And I think that this is it. A lot of I've got a topic point is that I want to cover, and I'll cover it a little bit right now because it kind of ties us into it. Is that a lot of people work hard, and I hear that, and I'm all about that. Listen, man, you're going to have to. We worked hard. We still to this day, Chris and I grind. We have to grind, but you got to have pockets and then release that. So I say it's like an afterburner on a jet. If you just get into modern day an F-22 and you put it to full power afterburner, that plane is only capable of doing that for so long, and it's going to run out of fuel. And you're no different, man. You can't keep that afterburner on and keep going. You got to get it on. You got to put that afterburner on when it counts, and then get it back off into cruising speed. And this generation, I think, is really listening well to that. And I think that they're going to take, and I think they're a lot better off than what we were. for the ones that listen.
Yeah.
And you know, we got guys that are my age and older, a lot older than me, that come through training and they're getting it, you know, as they're coming back. So I like the direction that in some cases the next generation up is bringing some viewpoints that this generation didn't have, for those that are willing to look back and look at it. I always say that the youth keeps me youthful, and I don't try to I'm very proud of my age. I love being where I'm at. Would I want to go back? I wouldn't mind going back to the 80s for a vacation, especially right now. I'd go back for a 1 month vacation in 1982, 83, 84, somewhere in there, you know?
That'd be something.
Yeah, I'd love to go back. I mean, because, you know, I wouldn't want to stay there, though. I don't want to repeat anything in my life. I like where I'm at, but I do like to go back and look at the youthful outlook. You know, we got Ian, that's Team PNS right now. He's our young new team member, and I love watching his energy. You know, we're around him. We've been around him now several times, and I feed off of that, man. I feed off that. Carol Shelby told me that same thing. Is I got one. I make it sound like we're old friends. We got one conversation with him, man. I stretched that conversation out, though. Figure I'm never going to have it, and I did. Got to see him a couple times. But did you know when he passed away, they had a big mural of his very first AC Cobra at SEMA. It was black with a light gray outline of his car, and everybody signed it. And it's in the museum, and my signature is right in front of the windscreen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so, and the reason why is, again, just connections and relationships. Is I'd made some relationships with this team at that point, just because I had a 5-minute conversation with them. So I used to throw that around a little bit, and it got me into the booth a lot. So, you know, when you don't know it, BS your way through it. And I did.
Well, very cool. Here, we'll shift gears a little bit. Next question is from Cornelius. He wants to know about our training classes, if they're all located on the West Coast. And you want me to run with this one a little bit?
Yeah, you run with this.
So, you know, the answer to that question is our 5-day class in Renny's Training Center is definitely on the West Coast. The 5-day class only happens in Big Bear at the training center. But we do have about, I don't know, I think it's a half dozen now 1-day training centers that are set up around the country. And we actually have a 1-day training event coming up this Saturday on the 21st, happening at all those locations. And so we've got Indiana, New Jersey, Florida, Texas, Arizona. Of course, Southern California counts as one. And then we're trying a class this time in Atlanta, Georgia area. We're not sure yet if that's going to become a permanent location or not. And I think that covers all of them right now.
Yeah, you know, we only have 3 or 4 of these a year. They're 1 days. It's a great way to kind of take and just back up. I hear everybody online say, you know, God, I'm really good. And listen, I've been involved in search and rescue on the civilian side and the military side for 30 plus years. And I always, you know, we have validation in search and rescue. And so we have people say, if you're that bad, if you're really truly that badass, you know, there's several organizations, and some of them, honestly, I mean, I could commit the time to, but I'm not badass to get that certification, you know? And so a lot of times training, even a 1 day, is just realization of where your weak spots are. Everybody looks at it. Oh, I know. No, man, nobody can know everything. You know, is anytime. I mean, Jason Rose was here training at the last 1 day, and I sat there and I bet I took more notes than the entire class combined. And, you know, I'm a trainer, but Jason Rose has got a whole nother outlook than I do. And so I took a lot of notes, and Chris, you made note of it. We had a 5-day start that next Monday, 2 days later. And I took some of what I learned from Jason and put it into our 5-day immediately.
Right.
Immediately. And so you can always learn something and be open to it your entire life. You know, I've shared this a couple times. As I sit down, I'm really into mind mapping. And we'll have to do a podcast video on mind mapping, you know, or maybe a webcast would be better. But I do a tremendous amount of it almost daily. And I mind map out my bucket list, everything I want to do in life. And I'm sitting there, this a couple months ago, and I must have had a weird look on my face. And Diane goes, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" And I was like, "Shit, I just mind mapped out everything I want to do, in business and in life and in my family and fun." And she goes, "Well, what's wrong?" And I said, "I got to live another 75 years. It ain't going to happen. I got to live to 132 years old." And so what it really did is make me realize that, hey, I got to squeeze some important stuff in where I can. And I don't care what age you're at, is it's you never know when we don't have an expiration date stamped onto us. Some bread goes bad sooner, and unfortunately, we never know when that's going to end. So fit the important fun stuff in while you can. It's you gotta take and do what you can when you can as fast as you can and have fun, man. Full throttle.
Yep. Let's see what's next. Mark Elliott said the hats look good at the Quail. Shane Mayfield, he wants to know where he can order one. We kind of covered that, but you can hit it again.
Yeah, so go over to PNS products. What we'll do too, guys, is we will put onto our social media some links up on Facebook. How's that? And put it over there. That way you guys can see, and then also talk to your local distributors. So if you're dealing with a local distributor, request that they get them in. And if they don't have
with any product in this industry, not just with PNS products, if you get stuff from a local distributor or have a relationship with somebody, man, by communicating with them the things you want from them, that's going to help them better serve you. And that's going to go all the way to the top. The manufacturer like PNS or whoever it happens to be is going to get that feedback from that distributor and hopefully adjust and be able to serve you better.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's see.
I want to go into two people. So Mark Elliott, Mafia. God, man, this guy, I've watched this guy grow his business, and he's one of the guys I point out in every single training because he's taken and started from grassroots, and this guy's got an empire being built up. And I won't go into his personal life and everything else because it's his personal life, but it's a guy that I've watched him grow, and I'm so proud of him. And he's worked it so smart because he's had to. Because of everything involved around his life and his career and everything else. Shane Mayfield, this guy came to us in training, had a great business. It turned around 3 or 4 years later. He comes back as a mentor to train with us. Had bought real estate, had invested, had bought another company, and the amount of cash that he was able to put away, liquid cash, the dude's on track to become, if he's not already, he's going to be a blue collar millionaire. And Mark Elliott's the same way. And these guys are that's what I'm talking about is known facts and no theories. These are two individuals, professionals, different walks of life and different struggles and everything else, building their empires up, but they've done it. And that's who you want to be listening to, not all these freaking wannabes that are sitting in mom's garage, or basement, posting on Facebook all day. You don't see these guys post a ton because they're out building, they're building businesses, making money. And when I was building mine, I didn't get involved in the forums until like 2004, because I'd already built the foundation of my empire before the internet even hit. And honestly, I thought a lot of the forums were a joke. There was only 1 or 2 that were worth going to, and I still feel the same way. I just pulled out of a couple of them on Facebook. I was like, man, I'm tired of the hate. It's the same idiots posting the same shit, and their forward movement. They're 2 inches ahead of where they were 5 years ago. And it's like, I have zero or they've gone backwards, and you can always tell something when somebody gets on, when they get on drunk at night and start going off, things aren't going too good.
Yeah. It was cool. I didn't even know it, but Mark Elliott, he's got his detailing business, of course, and he's also a fireman, but he's now got a small business that he partnered up with on 1 or 2 other detailers, where they service cars at big car events and stuff like that.
And what a group he tied in with, an amazing group now. And not all of them are mafia. Some of them not, but they're just God. I mean, I don't praise you. You don't have to be a mafia for me to praise you. But this group that he tied into they're dynamic. I mean, they're just again, Mark's just somebody here's a guy I watch that mentors me because he's got a shop, he does detailing, he does PPF, he's got a distributorship now, he distributes products, he's got this new company that they launched. This dude is seriously, and Shane's the same way, man. They're not building business, they're building empires, man. And you know what they did? They didn't rush it. They built foundations, and each step they take, there's another foundational stepping stone that's built before they do it. And God, can you tell I'm a fan? You know, I just love these guys. I love seeing it, man. I just love seeing it. And seeing his partners up there. You know, they're working Porsche. They're working. And here's how that works: is we got a call from a company. I won't mention their name because I don't want somebody to go out and harvest it. But a pretty amazing company. And we called Mark and said, "Hey, this is right for the taking. You want it?" And his company went out and got the contract and did it. And so that's how relationships work. But yeah, good people.
So my next question here is back to Cornelius again. He says, what is the best way to grow a mobile detailing business without a shop?
You know, I started out mobile all the way until I sold my company in 2010. We still had a mobile operation even in our shops. Here's the deal with mobile is realize what you are, what you're not. Build up reputation, build up relationships, and go quality. Whatever your area is the other thing is that everybody looks at mobile the wrong way. They look at, hey, I'm going to come in underneath the shop prices because my expenses are lower. No, you're not. Your travel expenses actually put you at or above the cost of a shop. And the reason we know this is we tracked it for years and years, decades, of what it costs to run mobile, what it costs for a shop. And believe it or not, mobile is good because it's not a fixed cost. So when you're starting out, your slow months aren't going to kill you. Your costs do go down. But when you're busy, your costs go way up because of the time involved in travel. So a couple different things is that find a niche in your market. Go after where the money is. Now, we teach in our class, we bring the cars in. We teach everything from what we call wash, clay, and protect. And we do those with just a wash of clay and send it out the door. We do a wash clay bead maker. We do a wash clay coating with our coatings. And I'm telling you, you can never touching a polisher to it is that we've got shops and mobile operations that are doing 125, 130 bucks an hour. And that's incredible. That's because here's what I like about that is that you could do several in a day and keep your costs real. So you know what? Not everybody's going to want a high-end paint correction with a coating. Some people are going to want just a nice wash, make the paint smooth, and they want it protected and shiny. And that means it's going to have shiny swirls, shiny scratches. We did a Jeep here, a 20-year-old Jeep in class. We had one guy that was like, there's no way that I'd ever sell a coating without paint correction. And by the time we're done, the Jeep sent in here is good friends of ours that we did it for. The Jeep had a lot of imperfections in it. By the time we're done, this guy had completely flipped. He's like, oh my God, look at the shine. And then he saw the reaction of the people when they picked it up. And the people, they loved it. They don't see what we see. And so, go after your market. Don't go cheap. Don't compete with the other people. Compete with yourself. Don't look at the other. You know what? I looked at prices. So I knew how high I could go. And right off the bat, in the markets we went to, we never tried to price match. We always were above the highest person in the market. We never. I don't look at competition that way. Never have. So make it a show. It's a Broadway production. Let's go after brands. Let me think of something that's okay. Two spectrums, fast food. I don't eat a lot of fast food. But when I do, there's really two things I'll be craving because we don't have them near me. Thank God. I weigh 300 pounds. Is Chick-fil-A. Man, it's just because the quality is a little better, and I know what I like there, and then the other one's In-N-Out Burger, kind of a California thing that's spreading across the country now. Those are two lower end brands that know their market. That I'll tell you what, both of them do, even though I've seen both their customer service slip a little bit, due to COVID, but everybody has, but they've still kept it above the board, you know. And we were in Chick-fil-A. I have a cheat day every week, and we went in there about a week ago, and we got something. And you know what, man, the customer service, the way that people treat you has come back up. They lost it a little bit because I think they're struggling with finding people. But I got to tell you, we're in there about once a month, once every 6 weeks, and I've seen it coming back because they've been able to catch up on things.
Yeah.
Now, higher end, Ruth Chris Steakhouse or Morton's. I like both of those. Now, those are higher end because the food quality is outstanding. And believe it or not, an old name in the industry is Benihana's. You know, I love Benihana's. They don't worry about Chick-fil-A. It's not on the radar. It's a completely different offer. But you know what? You wow people with great service. You wow people with a great experience. You wow people with how you look while you're doing it. You wow people, not with a lower price. Because that's not what you want to do. And I know this is really popular and it's going to hurt some of the guys. If you entrap yourself in washing cars, mobile, it's going to take you. I would much rather take a part-time job and detail part-time and build up the right clientele than launch right away and build up a wash business, because it's going to take you years to get out of being a washer.
Yeah, it's really become clear to me over the last couple of years that, you know, a detailing business and a car washing business really need to be two separate things.
Yeah, I agree. And it's if you're going to get into it, I understand, you know, hey man, I spent a quarter of my life starving, you know, but I realized even as a young man, when I sold my first company, that starving level doesn't do much for you. It barely keeps you above your nose is you're still sucking in water every once in a while. You know, yeah, you're making money, but really, are you? And so, you know, when I launched back into it, and I'll show you proof right now, I sold nuts and bolts the first year that we were in business. And when we relaunched back into detailing, I've owned a lot of businesses and I've sold several. And you know what, when we launched into detailing, my wife worked high-end dining because we got referrals off that. I started out selling nuts and bolts at a hardware store. The next 2 seasons after that, I was a ski instructor part-time. I kept and even the third year, I should have been teaching skiing. I should have been detailing. We were so busy. And I would end one, go to I mean, it was crazy for that winter, but I just didn't want to hurt my family. And I wanted to make sure that the foundation was built and it was there. But we built it on high-end work in a market that didn't have high-end work at it. There was no such thing as high-end work in the market. We developed that market, but it took 3 solid years. And I'm pretty good at marketing. You know, I'm a pretty good marketer and I'm really good at relationships. And I worked every angle. My wife and I both, we had jobs. Ski instructor is in one of the most, you know, luxurious resort communities in the country. And she did really high-end fine dining. And we both were just, I mean, we flew our colors and we marketed to everybody we came in contact with. And we did it right. We were never desperate and we never discounted our price. We always delivered on quality.
Cool. Very cool. I got a couple more follow-ups to Dream Maker. Mike Botello asked, I'm sure he's talking about this, even in the sun. So yeah, you know, I used Dream Maker in the sun out there in Monterey, and it was super easy and worked great. I didn't have any issues with it in the direct sun. Now it's a little cooler temperatures there, even though it was sunny. You know, it's not 100-degree day with direct sun. It's more like a 70-something degree day with direct sun, but it worked great.
The other thing is if you're hotter, just spray it on the towel. Have a wet towel and a dry towel. So get one towel damp with it and then spray it on the towel, wipe a small area, wipe it off. And
with a show car, that's what I did most of the time anyway. 75% of the time I just sprayed the towel first.
Yeah.
You know,
it was designed for that. Now, is it gonna attract dust? That's one of the questions. Almost anything, you know, it's funny. I was working with a company, and I won't mention them. We're really close friends with them, and they've got a spray protectant like we have Bead Maker, and now we have Dream Maker. We were talking about, you know, all the attracts dust, the this, the that, and their product, you know, it's a high end product. And he kind of whispered in my ear, he goes, even ours, you know, if they mix it with the wrong thing, if you're putting O&R with wax in it, if you got a wax down, or if you're mixing products, if you're putting this spray protectant on and spray wax and layer, everything, when you start changing the dynamics of that, the towels you use, everything changes it. And so, there's no silver bullet yet, but we're getting closer to one.
Well, a big part of that dust problem with different products is sometimes just the friction, from the application process, creates a little static electricity.
Yep.
So
now I'm really proud that we've been able to keep our products priced. We had somebody fire a shot at us this last week. Our products are damn good, super affordable.
that's right.
And you know what? We're not selling clear magic juice for outrageous prices because my name's attached to it like other people do. There's real products and there's highway robbery products. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. So Sarah's asking if Dream Maker took the place of Paint Gloss.
No.
And yeah, the answer is no. So can you talk about the differences between the two?
Absolutely. So Paint Gloss is, kind of a handy dandy spray detailer that is great for multiple things. As we use it for cleanup, following a detail, we use it as clay lube. Some people use that. Some people use it as just a when they're in between washes and details, they'll take fingerprints off. It's just it's an all-purpose spray cleanup, if you would. Now the nice thing is it does have some enhancement values, so it does pop the paint a little bit, and it's a great anti-static over the top of Bead Maker. And I've played with it with Dream Maker too. Is we'll put Dream Maker down, then spray just a light mist of paint gloss over the top, and it does do a little better job of resisting dust buildup. Now, it's really not designed to have protection value to it, and it does pop the paint a little bit. So let's go to Bead Maker. Bead Maker pops the paint, and it's pretty damn solid protection. Short-term protection, meaning a month, 1 to 3 months, depending on where you're at, the conditions, how you put it on, the environment, all that good stuff, and if your car's garaged or not. Dream Maker is simply a show car enhancer. It's when you want to go out and pop the paint. I'll give a little. I'm not supposed to be showing it yet because it's not the project, but I'll take it for tour. So here's the back of the shop back here. This is why we have all trainings. But see that white thing right there? I'll give you a little other hint of it. That's got Playmaker over the top of Bead Maker right now. We did it with Bead Maker, and then we put Playmaker. And I'm going to tell you, for 2 or 3 days, that truck, the shine on it, being white, just looked like liquid. And so there's the thing: is that paint gloss is kind of a shop tool. It's good cleanup. Some people use it as a pad prime, and use it in different ways. Clay lube, Bead Maker protection, pop the paint, and then Dream Maker is all about getting it ready to take it out for that Sunday drive, or going down to a park and shine event, and making the vehicle just look its best quickly.
Yeah, and I would imagine in a shop setting or your business, you might use Dream Maker if you are prepping a car to go to a car show the very next day, or if you want to do a quick wipe down right before you deliver the car to the customer. But beyond that, it's really more of a product that's designed for that car show guy that's going to go out and show things off.
Absolutely, Sarah. Great question, though.
Here's a big one. This ties into stuff that came up yesterday. So Randy from the Netherlands, I could still never say his last name right, but he wants to know what we think about SEMA this year.
First off, Randy, I miss you tremendously. I can't wait to see you, buddy. I seriously miss you. SEMA, they put an announcement out, and we don't know, man. The world changes. We've been on for an hour. By the time you go listen to the news, things change in the last hour. The media is it's out of control. I don't know. I really don't know. We've got to pull the trigger. We have a party every year. I really think at this point that SEMA they pretty much announced that they're going to have a mask mandate. We're going to go right now unless things change drastically, but I don't know what it's going to look like. I think that if they have a mask mandate, for me, I got in a conversation with a gentleman yesterday. For me, I get so much out of seeing facial expressions. And, his point was, well, we just got to see through the mask. And I'm not against the mask. Don't get me wrong. It is I have no problem people wearing masks. I wear them where it's needed, out of respect to others. But SEMA is one of the events. I don't want to look at a mask.
Yeah.
I'll do it. We're probably going to do shifts in the booth, so we don't have to all sit there all day with the damn mask on. I think it's going to be, I think the show, I think attendance is going to be greatly reduced. So we've got to pull the trigger on our party or not. It's a hard decision.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of dollars invested in that party. And I don't know if this year is the best year to have it, to host it. I know some big companies have pulled out of SEMA recently, in the last couple of weeks. I expect that we're going to see more of that. And if that continues to happen, we might not see SEMA happen. I think it's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be the normal SEMA.
Right.
That's my feeling, is that, listen, man, if you go back to the 1918, it took about 2.5 years for this stuff to eradicate itself. Back then, when there was no vaccines, we didn't know a whole lot about it. We just had to survive it. And believe it or not, whether you're a vaxxer or non-vaxxer, it doesn't matter. That's exactly what's going to have to happen now, is that it's just going to have to run its course. And we're probably another year out, before it does that, before enough people have got herd immunity, or, they got the vax or whatever it is that it's just going to have to run its course. So, is it going to be a normal year this year? Obviously not. And I think SEMA's prepping us for that. The Raiders just announced in the NFL that the only way you can get into a Raiders game, I believe, somebody's going to have to verify this. I just heard it right before we came on, was that you have to show proof of vaccine to get into the games. So I think that's going to drastically affect, major events like the NFL. And I definitely think especially if they go that direction, you got to remember, depending on the numbers that you read, only 40 to 60% of the country is vaccinated. And it just depends on what, where you get your sources from. So somewhere in there is the truth. Well, if that's the case, it's going to affect everything we go into.
Yep.
So Randy, I hope so. I can't, unless they cancel it, I'm going to be there, but it's probably going to be a modified be there, so we'll have to see, stay in contact with us. And like I said, this thing can all flip. There's so much shit going on in the world right now, and you and I can, you being your background, you know what I'm talking about. There's just, we don't know where it's going, so we'll have to see.
So yeah, it's it's sad to see things not going in the direction we'd hope. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. Tony, I see this question from Tony. That's a great question.
Yeah, you want me to read it for everybody real quick?
I'll do that.
It says, good morning. Question for you guys. What direction should I or any detailer focus on for affecting positive change in the detailing community and outward from there long term?
Be a walking example. Simple as that. Is that, is go out and be successful. Be honest with your success. Be honest with your struggles. Be above the board. Pay your staff. Pay your taxes. Have insurance. Talk about those things. Really don't market to detailers. Market to your customers. Volunteer. Be a good part of be a huge part of your community. Volunteering in your community. Giving back to your community. Not giving, as in you don't have to do a bunch of free stuff, but you got to give your time. So many volunteer organizations need people that can, dedicate some time to issues. As far as being directly involved in the industry, I think locally that's it. Be profitable. Be profitable. On a grand scale is, the IDA, volunteer. Is there can't be, you want to see the IDA legitimize our industry at the consumer level. If we could double or triple the amount of volunteers that go in and help the IDA, you don't know what that could do for an entire industry. The other big thing is go to industry events and network with other professionals. Also, don't feed the problem. is that don't go on these forums and hate on each other. Matter of fact, a lot of people see the drama, and I've never totally understood that. Is why would you consume yourself any 1 second of your time watching people tear each other down? And you know what? You know what works is removing yourself from those forums. As soon as I see negative, gone. I don't need it in my life. I don't need it in my business. It doesn't. Matter of fact, it takes away from your success, because if you spend 1 nanosecond reading that shit instead of going and building your business up, you could have called a customer at that time and followed up with them and maybe built up a referral to them in that same little amount of time. Well, it's only 5 or 10 minutes daily. How many phone calls can you make in that same? How many text messages saying, hey, thank you? How many personal videos could you make and send over? I did 2 to our group yesterday to Chris. Took me 10 minutes. Well, guess what? That's 1 stupid forum post, And it's the same retards. I hate to say it. It's the same retards going nowhere. They're spinning their wheels and they're putting mud on everybody else. Screw that. I don't have time for it. So be positive. I love that. I love Tony. I love the question. Be a role model. If you're young, it's okay. It's okay. Be young and be proud. You don't have to be old to be successful. Is that my goal is, man, I don't want people to take 20, 25 years to do what I had, but I got bad news. What took me 25 years, most people aren't going to do it in 5. Most people aren't going to do it in 10. Can you do it in 15? I hope. That's our goal. I've watched people completely turn their lives around in 5 to 7 years. I mean, be on their way to being a blue collar millionaire in 5 to 7 years. Now, do they arrive? That's my point. In 10 to 15, yeah, they will. Far faster than what I did. It's cutting 5 or 10 years off it. That's major. If you look at that income potential, not only that, lifestyle, man. My buddy Joab, we watch him on social media. The dude lives a great life. He works his butt off and he goes on vacation. Takes his trailer out, camps, goes all over the place. It's awesome to watch him.
Very good. Here's an easy one. Frank out in San Bernardino here wants to know, what is the best solution for tires and dynamic dressing?
Right on. Well, Frank, first off, I was born in San Bernardino Community Hospital, if you know where that is. My brothers were born at Loma Linda. When I came around, life had changed because I was born at Community, and it's not in the best part of the world. All love to San Bernardino, Colton. I was born and raised in Colton. I'm 4th generation from Colton, so welcome, homeboy here. Was a reserve sheriff's deputy with San Bernardino County and did search and rescue. Still do. I took a little leave because I'm building a team up for the State Guard here in California. So I've done a lot of work with them. So, okay. I love dynamic dressing as a tire dressing. There's a couple different principles. 4-to-1 is for a nice matte finish look on healthy tires. I am growing up in Colton. I like my tires as shiny as possible. And so on my Chevelle, I use it either full strength. They're shiny. They're really shiny. Or I use it 1-to-1 for really shiny. On my daily drivers, I use it 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. And so for I don't like it real matte finish. So, but my favorite go-to for tires is, I would say if you're going to average it, is 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. 2-to-1 still pretty shiny. 3-to-1's just a really, really nice look. 3-to-1, I would say, is a little on the light side for me. So when I dress the wheel arches, on the trucks, I like to use it 2-to-1, and same on the tires. So, Chris, what's your answer to that? Because
I'm a 4-to-1 guy. I kind of think 4-to-1 is a little bit glossier than matte. I would call it kind of like a semi-gloss, But
you got to remember,
that's where I'm at.
You got to remember, I grew up in Colton, though.
Yeah.
And so that's matte finish to me, And so I'll never forget is Frank. This is a great way. Our Chevelle was in a parade a few years ago. We were carrying some a Fulberg Colonel and a light Colonel in the parade, and I remember my kids saying, "Dad, the one thing we could tell on the Chevelle is, man, you had the shiniest tires." So take that as a hint. I tend to be on the shiny side of my tires, and it's just the way I grew up. My Baja Bug when I had it when I was a kid was the same way, man. It was it wasn't one layer of Armor All. It was 2 or 3 layers of Armor All, on the tires. And then we go out in the dirt, and boy, that was fun to get off,
Yep.
So, well, there you go.
I'll tell you, Frank, that on my detailing van, I actually keep 2 different bottles of Dynamic. Although the 4-to-1 I reached for the most, I do have a 3-to-1 bottle as well. So, I kind of judge the vehicle and the customer and kind of make a decision from there.
That's a great point, Chris. And in general, probably the one I go to the most is 4-to-1, because we use it on interiors. And then if I have plastic trim that needs a little help on the outside, I use it 4-to-1. And so 4-to-1, because interiors, I don't like dressing interiors. I like to have it a natural finish to it. But some interiors, let's be honest, the old shop truck, it's 7 years old, needs a little help now. And that 4-to-1's perfect. It really doesn't look dressed. So I'll put it on and I let it sit for an hour, and then I just buff it off, that 4-to-1, so it levels it out. It already self-levels nicely, but that just puts a nice sheen to it. And so, I would say if I was going to have my 2 picks, I would have a 2-to-1 bottle and I'd have a 4-to-1 bottle. Chris has a 3-to-1 and a 4-to-1. So the Valley versus.
Yeah, there you go.
So
there you go.
Cool. Good question.
Here's a quickie. Super Bijou, I guess. Please put on Amazon the 1-gallon carpet bomber. And I haven't looked lately as to what is on Amazon PNS wise, but I do know that the Rag Company is the only authorized reseller of PNS products on Amazon.
We're gonna have to look at that.
Yeah. So they kind of decide what they want to sell through Amazon based on, how it performs for them. But the Rag Company is kind of the one to reach out to regarding that. You could definitely probably purchase a 1-gallon bottle directly from the Rag Company. I just don't know if they have everything listed on Amazon.
We'll check into that though. Watch it to see if we can do some influence. If they don't, then we'll see what we can do to get them to get it in there. They should though. They should have all 3 systems on there.
Yeah, well, they probably have bottles. It's just who knows about the gallons,
Yeah.
Gio doesn't have a question. He just wanted to say thanks for the podcast. They help keep him on track, when he's feeling lost with his business. So there you go.
Wow, dude, thank you. Chris and I, when we started this, we're almost to the 100th podcast now. When we started this, we said, hey, if we help one person, in a podcast, just one, it makes it worth it. And it really, that's why we do it. I mean, if I get one person, you just made my day, because really my goal is, if I know I can impact one person and just put a little speck of hope and a little speck of, of turbo power into you, listen, we know the struggle, man. We started with nothing, absolutely nothing. And I don't want you to do to yourselves what I did to me. Don't do it the wrong way. I did a lot of things right, but one of the things I did is I heard an interesting commentary yesterday. As a father, as a husband, our families ask a lot of us. They want our time, but they want the bills paid. And, it was hard because I wanted to give my time, but if I gave my time to my family, then the bill paying suffered a little bit. And if I worked hard to build the empire, then my family suffered a little bit. And so I look at guys like Joab that have figured out how to do both. Is you hit it on afterburner, you go hard, and you take breaks often. And I think that's the way to do it. And, I've been down. I've wanted to quit many times in my business. And I wanted to quit in the early days. Then I got successful and I got so burned out, I had to go to counseling. The stress was so high. And so both of those are terrible spots to be in. But let me tell you, I've had tear-filled days where I really stressed out. I remember literally having tears in my eyes, taking and towing my detailing trailer when I was 13 years old to the airport. So I was so tired. And I remember literally tearing up on my bike. And I've had days driving the Porsche where I was really stressed out. And I can tell you, crying in the Porsche is a lot better than crying on a bicycle seat.
We got to put that one on a t-shirt.
I can tell you that is my struggles today. Every time I'll tell you, Chris, and everybody listening, every once in a while when I'm having a poor me moment, that life's so rough, I go take a drive in one of the cars and I go, really, okay, really, it's that tough, it's that it really is. And that's a reality moment, and I think that's what keeps me humbled with all you, because listen, man, we always want something else somebody's got, but we always don't look at the battle that they fought to get there. I want your battles to be minimal. You're gonna have them, and you're gonna have to learn to deal with them. But I don't want you to freaking be bombarded and have to sleep in a foxhole, so to say, in life. Is that you're just gonna have to dodge some bullets, not some bombshells. And so, thanks for listening, Gio. It's really cool. Thanks for saying that. Made my day.
All right, I got 2 more quickies, and I think then we'll wrap it up.
Yep.
Rick Walling, we were just talking about dressing, so he wants to know our thoughts on solvent-based dressings.
Ooh, well, first off, Rick is another legendary guy in the industry. He's been at it for 30 plus years. He has built an empire, one brick at a time. He's got real estate. He's got investments. He's my age, and he started, paint protection film in his shop. So, don't think that at 30-year-old, because at 50 plus, we're still figuring it out, and it just gets sweeter. It really does. And Rick's an example, another guy that really influences my life and my business and everything else. So, thoughts on solvent-based dressings? I'm one of the old school guys. I like water-based because of what they are, but on my personal stuff, like the Chevelle, most of the time now is I'm using Hawaiian Shine because it doesn't get driven a lot and it looks good for a long time. And so if tires or wheel arches are really torn up, now one of the dogs is hacking something up, is if they're really torn up, is that I find that the solvent-based do a little better job of camouflage detailing, when things just need a little extra.
Yeah.
And so I'm still a solvent guy. I still like it. I use water-based more, but I think there's a time and place for, a dressing like Hawaiian Shine. So I'm all over, dude. I've got a bottle right behind me and it gets used.
Very cool. I don't have any, but no. The glossiest thing I have in my arsenal right now is the gel dressing Wipe and Shine.
Well, put it this way. I want you to look. This is a homework assignment for all of you. When I put that on, whatever I'm driving, when I have that on there, I'm listening to Zap as soon as I pull off drive. So that will tell you. That will tell you the mood that it puts me in with when I put on Hawaiian Shine, because your shit looks glossy. And I can tell you this: my left hand's over the wheel, and I'm sitting back. So
there you go.
My mind frame when I use solvent-based dressings.
There you go. All right, last one from Dustin, and this is going to roll right into us wrapping things up. So, how can I email you about business advice and information?
Well, Chris, I'll let you address this one.
All right. Well, the best way to email us is me personally. It's chris@detailingsuccess.com. And for Renny, it's renny@detailingsuccess.com. And I monitor that inbox. And so I will do everything I can to especially get your questions in front of Renny. Be patient with us. We get a lot of stuff. So we literally can spend a couple of hours every day just responding to emails.
There's my updates on my phone. There's the messages and emails just since we've been on here.
And then the other thing you guys can do is the contact page on detailingsuccess.com. You could request information about our training. You can send us a message that way. That'll work too. Definitely try to avoid sending us private messages through social media channels. There's so much going through there that I almost guarantee you we're going to miss it.
No. We'll get 100, 150 a day. And we couldn't even if we hired somebody full-time, we can't keep up with it. And so emails. Now here's the other good thing is Dustin, if you come up with a good question, we probably need to start these Ask Me Anythings a little more often and we'd love to hear them. So if you send them over, we probably will give you a response back and say, great question. Renny's going to cover this on X and X date, and we'll give you credit for giving that. That way we can share it with more people and get that message out. So God, by all means, please, the more of those questions we get, the more of these, ask me anythings we have. And I think these help. Obviously, we're an hour and 20 minutes in and we're still going. And so if these help out, God, send them away. We can't get enough of them. I'll do 3 of these a month. I don't care. I really do. I love them. This is my favorite podcast. This is my favorite web event is answering and helping people out. One-on-one, you got to remember, we manage a group of about 200 people. And my first dedication is that group, because they're vested into it. That alone takes a lot of our time up. Yesterday I was probably on easily 5 to 10 phone calls. Each one of those phone calls is, 10 to 30 minutes long. That takes up a lot of a day real quick. So it's not that we don't want to help, but we can help the most if you send those questions in. And then I think a lot of people are afraid to send the question in. God, please don't send them in. I don't care. If we have to add another one of these to the week, I'll do it. If we have to have kind of a podcast day and then like a ask me anything day, I'll do it. It's that important to me to help you, but you got to send the questions in via email. And then I promise you might not get one-on-one, but we're going to answer those great questions, or we'll send you a link with the answer to it to help you out immediately if we have something like that there. But let us know, and we want to help. So, Dustin, thank you. All right, Chris, I think we better wrap up, man.
We should probably wrap things up. I was going to put the email address on screen, but it's taking me more time than I thought.
Well, hey, worst case, Renny, RENNY @detailingsuccess.com.
There we go.
Or Chris @detailingsuccess.com. Take a screenshot of this. Hold on, take a screenshot now.
That's funny.
So God, I almost hate to see these go. I had so much fun, but we got to, because we got a lot to do.
Yeah, I got other people. I have about easily 20, 25 emails I got to send today.
Yeah, I've got a lot of running around to do, and some videos, and got to start getting the shop ready for the training. So, all right, guys. Hey, man, it's such a blessing to come to you guys. Seriously, stay nice with one another. Stay civil. Randy, good to see you. For those that are from the United States, remember, we are America, not our representatives. They're not our bosses. They're our representatives. We put them in office. If you're tired of how things are going, it's time to stand up. Just say you've had enough. I'm one of them. I want us to stop being divided, come together, and I don't give a shit what you're doing in life. As long as you're nice and it doesn't affect me, I don't care. I don't care if you get a shot. I don't care if you don't get a shot. I don't care if you wear a mask. I don't care if you don't. I'm not going to judge you. You could be anything you like. And as long as you're the people, I don't care. And I wish more people would take that opinion and stop beating each other over the head with a baseball bat. But I want to encourage people right now, start watching more of this shit and turn CNN and Fox and all those fuckers off, because they're just causing they're just causing more problem than anything. So I love you all, man. And you guys take care. Let us know how we can help you. This is Renny Doyle Podcast. Chris, thanks a lot, buddy. I'll talk to you here shortly.
Yep. See you guys later.
Coffee. Swirl Killer coffee with good milk.
Yeah, good milk is key.
Yeah.
See you guys.